Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Help Me Think, the podcast where I talk about whatever's on my mind because I simply can't think straight without saying my thoughts out loud. My name is Tanya, and in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about money and freedom. My boyfriend asked me yesterday, is money required for freedom, or is freedom a mindset? The first thing that I thought to myself, I would say it is a 80 to 20 proportion. So 80% it is a mindset and 20% it's money. Because I do think that in order to feel free, we generally do need money. But there is a boundary. When you have a certain amount of money, I think it's different for everyone, from which you can then rely on your mindset. Let's say if you can afford food, if you feel like you're safe, if your basic needs are met, if your security needs are met, then it's a question of a mindset, whether you're free or not. I think this boundary is different for everyone. However, I think that a lot of people really do wait to get enough money. They do really invest their time, their energy into working and getting more money in order to be able to do the things that they want to do, while not even really understanding what they want to do. I think that's a big problem when people don't really do stuff that they say they will do later. They say, when I have the money, like I am saving up now, I just want to get enough money to be free to be doing the things I want to do. But then if you actually ask them, what do you actually want to do? What would you do if you had enough money right now? And they don't actually know. They're not actually sure. They're like, yeah, go traveling, just, to whatever country. Like, I could do anything. I could go anywhere. But where do you want to go? What would be the first destination? Even as simple as that. And not many people know that. Not many people are certain what they would use their money for. They just feel the need to have the security, to have the safety of being able to, pay for things. And it's valid and it makes sense because we need money to do stuff. However, there is so many things out there that don't require that much money. Obviously, as let's say a teenager, as a person who doesn't work, as a student who doesn't work, as a kid, we don't have any money. We might have pocket money, but if you don't have the money that you can use for whatever other than food and just shelter, let's say, then it is hard to be truly free because everything in this world needs money. Other than maybe, you could even, now that I think about it, you could be free by just walking out and just going to the woods and just being free over there with a tent. You don't need money for that. You need food, but you can find it in the forest. But if we're not talking that extreme, if we still want to be free but still be in society and still be in civilized world, let's say, then we do need money for everything, just for the living. But a lot of jobs really do allow people to have enough money to travel. For example, it wouldn't be fancy traveling, it wouldn't be 5-star hotels maybe, but when people say they want to travel, it is traveling. Just take a car, just rent one, take a bike. I don't know. There are so many ways to travel. I'm not talking about everyone, okay? I'm not talking about 100% of population, all the people in all the countries, in all the social classes, everyone. I'm talking about people who I know personally who could do that, what they supposedly want to do, travel. If you have a car, if you have a couple thousand saved up, which is for many people just 2-3 months, let's say, of working, even in not that fancy job, not a businessman or anything, just take your car, take that money and go on a road trip. 1 week, 2 weeks with a couple thousand, it is a comfortable amount. I did that. and I wasn't very saving. Like, I was giving up money for some things that I maybe shouldn't have, or I didn't have to. So generally speaking, I would say freedom is to 80, well, to make it broader, I'll say 70 to 90% mindset, because I want to take into account that there is different life situations, there are different financial situations, and maybe legal situations, because obviously we can't talk about everyone again, because for children, for example, it will not be the same as for adults, because legally children just can't go off and do their thing on their own always when they want to, but adults can. Adults are legally allowed to. Obviously in proper framework, legal framework. But 70 to 90% it is mindset, and 10 to 30% it is money. That is my take on that. However, I want to make a little disclaimer that I might not be the most average person that I'm talking about. I have maybe a different experience and a different starting point. For example, I already had a car when I turned 18, which not everyone has, okay? And it is not obvious that you're gonna have a car that you can use for traveling. Again, another disclaimer, I will be using traveling, or I am using traveling right now as an example of being free, because I feel like in my experience and people who I've spoken to, and also I feel like a lot of people out there see the ability to travel as a showcasing of being free, as a kind of like giving you the feeling of being free, which is why I'm going to be using it as an example, because it's just always easier to use an example, I feel like, to explain something or to think about something. So to use a particular example, and then when you come to some conclusions, to then try and apply it on other examples and see if it works. Right. Another thought that my boyfriend gave me when he was talking about his opinion on freedom and money, that freedom is discipline. Discipline equals freedom, he said. And that got me thinking, because I remember a couple months ago in my school I had an assembly. We had an assembly and our principal said the same thing, basically, that discipline equals freedom. I don't know if it may be a saying in English that I didn't know of, but I just found it interesting that it was the exact same thing, and how I remembered it is because I took a picture of it, because I just thought it was so funny that a person would say that to like a whole school of teenagers, because it just sounded so communist to me. You can argue with me, you can say whatever, but to me it just sounded like a capitalist. Bro, what the fuck? I just said communist and capitalist. Yeah, it sounded capitalist, because it just sounds like a big boss telling you that by working hard and by just doing your job, you will be free. And it is not exactly how it works, nor in many cases, as it was shown many times in human history, and it is being shown again and again, that by just working for someone very hard, you are not going to be free. Most likely, okay, there is exceptions, but it is not a pattern that applies to everyone. Sadly, we would love that. But what he said was, let me actually find it. Let me actually quote him. So my boyfriend said, "On the self, discipline equals freedom. It seems counterintuitive, but if you don't, for example, have the discipline to control calories and eat healthy now, there will come a time when you are controlled instead by outside forces that will restrict your freedom in the future. For example, as heart attack, diabetes, being too fat to ride on roller coasters or walk, constant injuries." And this caught my thought, let's say. It does make sense what he's saying, and the way that our principal put it, it was just kind of like, be good students, do your homework, turn up on time, and you'll be free, you'll be happy. I don't think that's true for everyone, and I don't think that this is the kind of thing I would be promoting in schools, not in this maybe not in this sentence, not discipline equals freedom, because yeah, I was like, what? But then I read what my boyfriend said, and it makes sense, what he says to me. Also, another disclaimer, in this podcast, always when I say something as a statement, unless I give a source or unless I link it to someone or I quote someone or some source, mentally you can just add to it, in my opinion. Okay, everything that I'll be saying is my opinion, and I do not want to, after every sentence, to state that and to remind you and myself of that. So please just bear in mind that it's my subjective opinion based on my experience and based on my view of this world, I guess. Anyways, let's keep going. And then I try to think why the thing that my principal said just got me so, I wouldn't say furious, I wouldn't go as far, but it just really annoyed me, and it was just really, it kind of shocked me. I just didn't expect this type of mentality and this type of politics in my school, and why the thing that my boyfriend said, when it was the same thing, it was discipline equals freedom, why I thought to myself, that makes sense, maybe he's right. And I came to a conclusion that both of things that they're saying, it just doesn't apply to everyone. The reason why it probably annoyed me, one of the things was that it was about school, it was about studying, and we're used to being told that kind of thing in schools, and it just already getting on our nerves, on mine at least. Like, just leave us alone, we can handle it, guys. And what Charles said was about counting calories and being active, and maybe I could relate more to that, which is why that didn't bother me as much. But both people, both things that they're saying, I think it doesn't apply to everyone. Also, I think it is necessary to say discipline now is freedom in the future. That's what they're trying to say. Yeah, so if you're disciplined now, if you're counting your calories now, if you're looking out for yourself, if you paying attention to your health, you are meant to be free later. So I think that's an important little thing to mention when saying that saying. However, this leads me to a question. Is discipline not basically what you do now? Isn't it in the definition of the word discipline that it's something that you do now? And also, when we say discipline now is a freedom later, I get another question. What about freedom now? Can I be free now? Why do we have to always be looking forward to something? We always keep looking forward and planning on and hoping for freedom and hoping for happiness, because, well, if we're talking about freedom here, I think we're talking about wanting to be free and wanting to be happy, and freedom being a part of happiness. But how do we achieve freedom now? And it seems that there is only one way to be free and be happy, is to work now, whether it be for health, for money, for maybe your academic knowledge, for your spiritual knowledge, and then afterwards, if you're disciplined enough, you may earn freedom and be entitled to be free, reach a certain level of, again, health or your capital, and have enough money to finally be free. And that's the thing, that's what I don't like in this statement. It is true, partially, of course, because maybe if you work harder now, then you will not be restricted later. Let's say if we took a more extreme example, if you're disciplined enough to not kill people, your freedom will not be restricted and you will not be imprisoned. I'm sorry for such an example. It is not as if people would necessarily want to kill other people every day, every second, and they would have to be disciplined not to do that. But maybe I'm influenced by a book about psychopaths by Dr. Kevin Dutton. Sorry for that example. But I do think that is true to some extent. Again, let's say you eat unhealthy now, you're not disciplined to eat healthy, stick to your diet, to your sport plan, and then you just can't do the things that you would want to do, that you would be able to do just due to your health. But let's say you don't want to be a runner, you don't want to be an Olympic athlete, you don't want to be a bodybuilder or have a perfect body, perfect according to some standards being written somewhere. You just want to have your body and you're fine with it, and you just eat intuitively, and you just don't have to count anything. You just don't have to pay attention to what you eat, really, because you just enjoy your healthy meals, your salads, your balanced food that you're eating. But you sometimes also have an ice cream or a pizza or a croissant. You're not really disciplined because you just eat whatever you feel like eating, but you enjoy it, and it is quite healthy and it is quite balanced what you're eating, so you are a healthy person. Everything's fine with you, okay, but you're not disciplined and you're not pushing yourself to do whatever you are supposedly apparently have to do. I think you might be even more free than a person who is disciplined now and who will be supposedly free in the future. I think you might be more free and have more freedom than those people who wait to be free later. You're definitely more free than them right now, and you might even be more free than them in the future, because you never know what's going to come in the future. First of all, like, you never know what happens in a day, in a month. You never know whether you even get to be free, whether you even get to savor that freedom that you've been working for. And these sayings are kind of, oh shit, what is that word? Oh my god, wait a second, I need to Google it. It's that, like, that you are, just enjoying your life in the moment. What are people called who live for the immediate pleasure? No, wait. Okay, I got it. They're called hedonists. Yeah, it sounds very hedonistic what I'm saying, because at that point we could just do whatever in now and just not care about the future at all, because we never know if we're gonna live another day. Yeah, that is not exactly what I'm trying to say, and that's not exactly my position, because I am myself a very disciplined person, or I'm trying to be. I think I am more disciplined than a lot of people, and I am striving to be disciplined and to have a routine, to have a good broad discipline. Why do I keep repeating myself and just not saying anything valuable for no reason? Right. However, even being fuck's sakes, not destined, disciplined. I do not think that I'm doing it to be free in the future. I don't think I'm doing it for the freedom. I am doing it for my future. Also for my present, to be fair, because it does help me in now, and I am doing it for the future. I am doing it for my goals. I'm doing it for my, future career, for my studies, for my future health as well. But not for the freedom. If I think about it, all those things that I'm doing, I'm not, going to bed early, I'm not eating healthy in order to be free later. It might be, like a side effect. Because the thing is, if you are successful, if you are rich, if you live in a good house because you were disciplined enough to study, let's say, it does not mean you're free. I do not think that money gives you freedom. I do think that freedom requires money. No, it doesn't. Doing some things that are considered being free require money. It requires money to travel, or to travel comfortably, to fly good flights and not night flights. It does need a lot of money. Well, more money than flying shit flights, but money does not give you freedom. Is not really what the question was, though, but I think you need to feel free and to have a mindset and to believe you can be free. Not in 10 years, not in 5 years, not in a couple of years, but now, that you are free in your head, that you're free from your fears, from your family, from opinions of other people, from whoever it is that you want to be free from, and then you can start to actually work towards your dreams. If you want to travel and to go to 5-star hotels, and that is your dream, and that is your vision of being free. No, okay, I moved away from my point. If you want to travel, you don't need millions. If your vision of being free, if your definitions of being free is to travel and stay in 5-star hotels, that's your vision, okay? I just think In my opinion, it means that you don't actually know what freedom is. You don't want freedom, you want luxury, you want comfort, you want something else. It is fine. I'm not trying to make everyone and convince everyone that it's fun to sleep in your car or to go on a road trip with smallest amount of money. That's not what I'm trying to do, okay? I'm saying it is possible. If you want to travel, you can travel without having millions. If freedom for you is being able to speak a new language, like a lot of languages, and to understand other people, you can do that without having to hire a $1 million tutor. You don't even have to live in a country. Just take Duolingo. Go to a library, take Duolingo and learn a new language. It is possible. A lot of people have goals and have dreams and ideas to what they want to do, and they kind of only see the expensive option of doing it and they call it freedom. But I think it is partially freedom. There is freedom in being able not to look at price when buying something. There is freedom in being able to fly or go, take a train, whichever you prefer, to wherever you want at any time. But there is also freedom in being able to go outside when you want to, and to walk, and not having to be in a wheelchair. If you are in a wheelchair, there is a freedom to breathe through your lungs and not through this machine, that gives you air, that allows you to breathe. If you do have that machine, there is a freedom in moving your arms. If you can't move your arms, there is a freedom in thinking with your own brain and not being disabled in that way. And whenever you think that you're not free and you need money to be free, again, unless it is like life necessary, unless it's like your safety needs, your basic biological needs, like breathing, then it's just a matter of mindset. It's like being optimistic. It's like seeing good in the bad, or it's just seeing good in wherever you look. It's like seeing a glass half full instead of half empty. You can find freedom in anything. You are free to some extent, and you can be free with a little resource. You can be maybe even more free with a little more resource, but I think you first have to start being free, and then the money will come and everything else that you need, and your freedom may become bigger and just different from before. But I don't think you will be free, or very few people will actually be free and feel free and enjoy their freedom if they just become rich. Finally they become rich, and then they can do everything they wanted, and then they don't even know what they wanted and then what they want. So freedom is a mindset. As soon as you're alive, as soon as you can do stuff, you can be free, and you decide whether to be it or not. There are some restrictions, let's say school, but you are free to decide if you want to go there. If you want to become, okay, now we're going to another debate, fuck free will and determinism. So yeah, I'm not gonna say we are 100% free, everyone is 100% free, but I think that if we're talking about money is 10 to 30% important in being free, but not more. To the most part, it is the mindset that determines whether you're free or not, whether you feel free or not. That was my opinion, my subjective view on freedom and money, and whether it is a mindset freedom or if money is required for freedom. It was Tanya. Thank you for listening, and come back for another episode next week. I'm not gonna be waiting for anything because yes, bye bye, ciao ciao.